All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, May 14th. We got two NBA playoff games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into both of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, before we jump into today's video, I want to talk to you guys about something really, really cool that Sleeper is doing. So if you used my code in the past, Guy Boston, or if you want to sign up today using code Guy Boston, if you enter a contest between now and tomorrow, so May 15th, you're going to get a nice little promo over on Friday. I believe it's going to be a protected pick exclusively for the people that do just what I said. Sign up today as a new customer using code Guy Boston, or if you've already signed up, you're like, oh crap, I can't get that because I'm not a new customer. Don't worry. If you've already used code Guy Boston in the past, this applies to you as well. Just go create a contest today to kind of make the pot even sweeter here. They got a couple other things going on. If you're a new customer, you're also going to get this Julius Randle 0.5 point square as well as your first deposit matched up to $100. That's for newbies. If you're not new, again, there's still something there for you. All you have to do is enter a contest between now. You can enter it tomorrow as well, and then on Friday you're going to get a nice little deal over in the app. So go ahead and check out Sleeper, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Make sure you use code Guy Boston. Those links auto apply the code, but just make sure it's on there. All right, in terms of how we made out yesterday, one play, one cash, and we do still get the comments. I feel like I'm making this little this statement multiple times throughout the playoffs. We still get the comments of, oh, only one play, what's the point? Guys, there's only 2 games on. Like, think about it. If you had a 15 game slate, you probably wouldn't have 15 plays, right? So I have no problem with just picking one thing if I don't love anything else. Like, it's not about the quantity out there, it's more about the quality. So one play yesterday, we'll take the cha-ching again, and I encourage anyone that's thinking, oh, one play, what's the point, to try and work on that mindset, because, you know, you shouldn't just be throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. If there's only one thing you like in that particular day, don't press, don't force anything, you know what I mean? But that was yesterday. Let's go ahead and dive into today. We got game number 1 here. Guys, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rocking. Celtics taking on the Knicks. The Knicks now up 3-1 in this series, and it like makes my stomach turn trying to talk about this series, because as a Celtics fan, it is just so gut-wrenching what has happened. Now, I've said in my videos on Twitter, by the way, follow me there, socials will be popping up here throughout the show, in my little rant videos and whatnot. I'm actually a Celtics fan that's not taking anything away from the Knicks. I think that they've played phenomenally in crunch time. The only thing that I maintained prior to Tatum getting injured was that the Celtics, I think, were the better team in the series, but the better team doesn't always win. The team that cares more, can close, can be more clutch, hit their shots, better coached, I guess, that's the team that wins, right? So yeah, it's kind of a sour point for me to talk about the Celtics team that was supposed to repeat and win the championship, and now they've looked like they can't play basketball in the last, X amount of minutes of the game. But now Jason Tatum's out, and it's a ruptured Achilles. He'll probably be out next year. So, yeah, my mindset ain't all that great revolving the Celtics here. That being said, I'm sure they'll probably end up winning this game, giving us Celtics fans hope, ultimately just to lose in 6 or 7. So, to me, I would say that, I don't mind the idea of the Knicks putting up a decent number, but the Celtics also somehow having this sort of big scoring day. So I'm going to lean towards the over, as well as what we've been doing, Celtics team total over. I'm a little conflicted on that spread at -4.5, because I still do think, and this is not Celtics bias in me, I think it's just factual in a sense. Like, we've seen the Celtics play without Tatum a few times. This is still a team that can put up a decent number and even beat this Knicks team without Tatum. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that he is the end-all be-all. In terms of their future, in terms of them winning championships and all that, yes, that is their guy, that is their stud. But, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, maybe Kristaps steps up. If Pritchard has a big game, like, there's enough there that the Celtics still can beat the Knicks without Tatum. Are they going to? That's sort of the question, but it would be so this Celtics team of them to go out there and just like win big in game number 5 here, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have hope, only to lose by 30 in like whether it's game 6 or game 7. So I guess by a Celtics fan in me, I guess I'll say the 4.5 points, but I'm really indifferent on the side here today. I more or less am thinking that they can still put up a respectable number even without Tatum, and I also think the Knicks can score today too. And we've kind of seen that in the series for the low totals that we've been getting. We've seen some high scoring games, right? Game 1, I believe, was that was an overtime game, but that went over this line. Game 2 was low, but then the Celtics kind of really did their job and made sure this one went over in game 3. And then game number 4, yeah, both teams played it like it was a regular season game. And though they both made their shots, I think the Knicks shot, what did they shoot? I have it up in front of me here. Yeah, they shot 54% from the field. They shot 35% from 3. Celtics went 48 and 38. So they can easily, even no Tatum, I think they can easily shoot those percentages again, and we saw a very high scoring game. So I like the over 207.5. I'll say Celtics team total over as well, and then maybe a slight lean to the Celtics -4.5, because I do think a lot of the times when your star player goes down and everyone's criticizing you, I've been super critical of Brown, like I just don't even like him anymore. A lot of the times, those are the teams all of a sudden that like rally for at least one game kind of around their circumstances and play really well, right? So that's kind of where my head's at there. In terms of what we have from a player prop perspective, I like the idea of Derek White here over 3.5 threes. He's definitely taken the quantity that we need, right? He shot the ball from 3, I think it was 16 times in game 1. I know, crazy. In game 2, he shot it 11 times. In game 3, he only shot it 8 times, but he made 3 still, right? And then in game 4, he shot it 11 times. So Derek White should be able to huck up a decent amount here, especially without Tatum shooting a bunch. The thing that I would say is this is a perfect situation, especially with Tatum being out, to craft some sort of a same game parlay for Celtics players, knocking their lines down, like Derek White maybe over 2.5, so 3+ threes, with Peyton Pritchard 1+, or something like that. We're massaging some numbers, you know what I mean? Because with Tatum out, that is a massive, massive void, and though the books obviously have a very good idea of what they're doing with it, there still can be some opportunity in there. In terms of a player prop on the Knicks side of things, I feel like we have seen some consistency out of Karl-Anthony Towns, but today may be a day where I feel like today is a day that I feel like he could take over in a sense. We've seen game 1, 14, okay, he got in foul trouble, right? He only ended up playing 31 minutes in an overtime game. The next 3 games, he played 35, 36, and 36 minutes. On the season, when this guy plays 35 minutes is kind of what we're looking for, right? So on the season, 35 minutes, he's made, in terms of his over 19.5 points, let's see, so 36 plus minutes, 32 of 41 games this year, 78%. Karl-Anthony Towns can score 20 points today. He's done it in 3 straight games, and he's yet to really have a big game. It's been Brunson kind of all the way. So I like Towns over in points as well. Maybe that's some sort of a same game parlay. Towns with an alternate line in points, parlayed right there with Derek White and some sort of an alternate points or threes line in general. I think that could definitely be something that we consider today. Keep an eye on the final plays. Yeah, Towns, 78% when he plays that many minutes, and I expect him to play a lot of minutes today because it's the playoffs. I kind of like that spot there. Next up, we have Minnesota taking on Golden State. Minnesota big favorites in this one, and it makes sense, right? We still have no Steph Curry, and what we've been saying is, yes, the Warriors can win these games or cover these games with no Steph. I'm not saying they can't, but odds are they don't. You know what I mean? Like, this is a team that is so much different without Steph. Were they competitive in game number, or was that game number 4? Yeah, they honestly were, and I give them a lot of credit for that, but ultimately still Minnesota able to come through, and they haven't covered in 3 straight games now against this team without Steph, right? So Minnesota, it's a huge number. They are at home. I do expect this to be a closeout. Do I love the idea of 11.5? Probably not. That is a big number. And again, we do have some guys that can grind it out. We're talking about Jimmy Butler, Draymond. Like, they're not going to give up, right? Throw in Buddy Hield. Maybe he makes a few threes. They could probably keep this to 11 points, but ultimately they don't have their go-to guys. So if things go wrong for the Warriors and they need buckets and whatnot, I do think that they struggle to get those. So I am still going to, lay the number if I do roll with this. I think this stays as a lean, though, because, again, it's kind of a pretty big number in my opinion. But to me, this is a spot where Minnesota does still perform and close it out. Now, I say still performs, right? I think I'm going to look at what we looked at last time out. I'm going to look at Minnesota's team total over. Right now, it's at 104.5. That worries me just a little bit, because they've even scored, was it 102, I want to say, in one of the games this series. So yeah, that 104 is a little daunting. But other than game one, and that was a game in which the Warriors controlled, 117, then the 102 game, and then 117. So it's like they're not even close to that number, as other than the 102 spot, in which from the floor they shot, I think it was 44% and 38%. In that game 2 days ago on the 12th, they shot 49% and 47%. That's really good shooting. They can do that again, but I'd say that they do a little bit more of what they did in game number 2 there, which is 50% from the floor and then low 40s. I think it was like 42% from 3. That is super, super attainable. So, and they still scored 117. So I'm going to look at Minnesota team total over. I also don't necessarily think that Jimmy Butler or Buddy Hield or Podziemski, any of these guys necessarily give up. So I'm looking at a total of 203. Though it's a closeout game, Minnesota, I would expect to come into this one thinking they should score more points than the Warriors than stop the Warriors. Because if this turns to a defensive game and a low-scoring game and whatnot, that is how the Warriors will keep this close, right? Because they still have a good defense without Steph. So I'm thinking that the Warriors say, okay, well, let's step on the gas offensively, because that's where they lack right now, and that can kind of be their way to, step on their throat in a sense when they're down. So I like the idea of an over, Minnesota keeping this pace pretty damn high. In terms of player props in this one, do have a couple, but nothing that I'm like over the moon in love with right now. First off, Anthony Edwards. I like his under 27.5 points. You're probably like, what the heck? In fact, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. He's only hit this in 2 games so far this series. Prior to that, 2 games out of 2. But prior to that, it was 23, 20, and then he went for 36 and 30. And it's like, yeah, that dude is phenomenal. But with guys like Jimmy Butler on the squad, Draymond Green in the squad, I have to believe that this is a Golden State team, Steve Kerr coach, that is saying right now that with our backs against the wall, there's no way we're letting that one guy beat us. So I think that they will put that pressure on him. They are a very good defense against how he scores, right? If we look at his top 3 scoring methods, pick and roll ball handler, Golden State's 4th best. In terms of free throws, 13th, which isn't all that terrible, right? And then transition, 5th. But, at the same time, Anthony Edwards, we're taking an under, he can kill us like that, right? Guy can go for 30 in 1 quarter for Christ's sake. So with a grain of salt, again, it's a lean. But I do think that, being coached and knowing the history of this Warriors team and the veteran status of some of these guys, I do think that they say, all right, let's just make sure that one guy doesn't beat us. Next, we have a guy over on the Warriors side of things, and I do like how much he's been shooting with no Steph. He's impressed me. He's getting to the hoop, some easy shots. Jonathan Kuminga, if this game is fast-paced, like I think it's going to be, or at least faster-paced than maybe the total would indicate, that's going to help him out because he scores 20% of his points in transition. So I really do like him being able to get the ball and run. I took a peek at his over 4.5 rebounds because it's like even money, but he had 0 rebounds in that in the last game. Prior to that, he had 6 on 12 rebound chances, 5 on 8. So him to get 5 rebounds isn't crazy. It's over 4.5 right now. But, the games 1 and 4 in this series kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth. So, yeah, like I said, these are both kind of fringe plays. They're definitely leans as of right now. But, I wanted to talk about them because the more and more I look into them, maybe I do like one of those plays, and they do ultimately become a final play. But, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I want to ask you guys again, because we got some interesting answers yesterday in the comments when I asked this. Who do you think is going to win the NBA championship right now? You might be thinking that is an easy, square question. I don't know, with Indiana now and the Celtics in this situation, I do think that there is a lot of things that have probably changed for people's opinions, right? You have the 1 and the 2 seed, well, the 1 definitely out, but the 2 seed in the East most likely out of here. So who is going to win this NBA championship? Let me know down in the comments. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.